Copy of the agenda?
Yes.
Thank you.
And this is for you, if the board votes for the contract.
Okay.
All right, and then plus Sunderland is 3%. Just a hair shy of quorum as far as the percentage, the percentage of the population of towns. Portion of the town. Just a second, let me double check that.
Okay.
Yeah, we got 12 votes. We need 12, we need 14. So we need one more person to talk. Hopefully.
There we go. There's our votes.
Nothing.
Yeah, Stu's joining right now.
Oh, wonderful.
There we
Great.
go.
There we go. Excellent. Thank you.
Sorry I'm late, folks.
No problem. Thank you very much for joining us, Stu.
And I'm going to have to leave at 4:30 because I got another meeting at 4:30. Let's do the big stuff and get that stuff out of the way.
Call the meeting to order. It's 4:03 on Wednesday, June 5th. First order of business is to accept the minutes from the last two meetings, 12th or December 13th and March 13th. Let's do the 12th first. We have a motion to accept the minutes as written December 13th, 23. Okay, second. Okay, second, Nick. Any corrections, adjustments? Not all in favor of accepting the December minutes? Please say aye.
Yes.
Hi.
And opposed? Great. Now for March 13th.
I'd make a motion they be approved.
Okay, a second. Okay, Nick seconded. Any changes, additions, corrections for the March 12th or 13th meeting? All in favor of accepting the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Great. All right. They've been accepted.
So one other thing on yeah. So
There were, we need to ratify and accept the actions from 313. We did not have a quorum. So, and those actions, can you,
effectively the chief action that was taken during the meeting on the 13th was effectively that we decided to end the compost bin sales program. That was something that was brought on because of just increasing costs from the vendors and just following the pattern of a series of other solid waste districts around the state who are no longer purchasing together in bulk and letting that program expire now that the food waste law has been in effect for a number of years.
all right, so we have a motion to accept that action from March 13th.
I move to ratify and accept the actions on the meeting on the 13th.
I second that motion.
All right. Any other discussion on that? In favor of accepting that, those actions, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? All right. I will turn it over to Scott.
Thank you very much, Dixie. So just to go through the FY24 quarter three report really quick. This isn't the voting item, and I know that we have a couple of folks who are on short time. So, but just to look at, if you go to page 8, On table one, you look at FY 24 spending so far for the Solid Waste Alliance through quarter three. What we can get a little bit of a better sense of the budget as a whole as well later on when we look at the budget proposal eventually on table four that has our expected spending as well for quarter four combined with all of these spending from the first three quarters. We're right about sort of on schedule here related to costs. There haven't been any significant overruns. And we're within effectively the rest of our budget for the program here. So yeah, effectively a little bit more of a hours through salary, BCRC management than sort of we normally budget for the quarter, but I had some additional work to take care of related to the prepping the household waste facility and a few other things. So, and then, but that'll be reflected quarter four. I took a 2-week vacation, so there should be substantially less spent during this quarter, and we should be within the budget.
Good, thank you.
Otherwise, everything else is pretty good. If you want to look at table 2, this covers the household hazardous waste facility. We did have one outstanding invoice that got paid in quarter 3 for some of our December pickups, similar to what we reported in spending last year. Table 2 is effectively very similar to what our spending was and our predicted spending for quarter 3 that I gave at the last meeting. And then if you look at table 3, it's just showing you the breakdown of our budget and our spending for the first 3 quarters and how much we've charged to each town based on their percentage of the population. If there are any questions about that, I'm happy to discuss.
None.
All right.
Okay. So if we move forward then to agenda item 3, the FY 25 budget, if you go to page 11, you can see our budget proposal for the upcoming fiscal year. The fiscal year is going to start on July 1st. And I see on the top of table 4, there is a typo. It should be July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. And so effectively we're looking at, I'm proposing a 4.5% increase in the budget for next year, with not a lot of changes, particularly in most categories. Trying to keep the household hazardous waste disposal budget around the same. That does go up an additional, $6,000 from what we're there. What the true cost is going to be for the full year related to household hazardous waste collection is going to actually be figured out when we renegotiate our contract with Heritage, or we plan to put out an RFP in October or so of next year in order to, we locked in our prices in a 2-year contract with them when we first went there, and now we are operating on our second full season. That contract goes by the calendar year. So our first 4 weeks of operation, we also plan on being within the fiscal year of FY 25, with the majority of the next 18 weeks of other operation, being between July 1st and through October next year. And this is HSW program is again being planned for a 21-week schedule. We could plan for a slightly shorter schedule if we wanted to keep that a little lower, but otherwise, the 21-week schedule seems to is what we're operating on this year, and potentially, gives us a few more opportunities for residents to come to the facility and keep our sort of resident numbers up a little bit higher. We've removed the compost program as we discussed at the last meeting. And then operating expenses are all pretty much where they were at you know, last year. So a couple of changes in a few things, supplies and equipment, et cetera. So.
Are you looking for a motion to accept the budget as presented?
Yes, if that's what, if there's no discussion about it. Happy.
I don't have any questions. I'll put a motion on the floor to accept the budget as presented.
For a second?
I'll second it.
Just an audience. Okay. I'm good. All right. So we have a motion to accept the fiscal 2025 budget as written. Any discussion, any questions? Okay, all in favor of accepting the budget as proposed, please say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Budget is accepted as presented. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you. And then the next voting item is agenda item 4, which is the management contract with BCRC. This is the annual contract. If you look between pages 14 and 23, this goes over the duties that will be handled by myself and that we do through and that BCRC also oversees through subcontracting with Paula. And then also, of course, managing and all of the money and the throughput of the funds, being the sort of fiscal partner that we operate as. It's the budget numbers are the same, but based on the way that the state has structured these, solid waste implementation plan, it's based on percentage of time. So the numbers, aren't 100% aligned with our sort of chart of accounts sort of expenses view from the FY24 budget that we just passed, but all of the budgets are all of the large numbers match each other effectively there.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the contract as written? Or,
I'll make that motion.
all right, do I have a second? Second. Okay. So it's been seconded. Any other discussion on the contract for BCRC and our Solid Waste Alliance? All right, and with that, everyone that would like to accept this, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We have accepted it.
Excellent. And just so everybody knows, this is the BCRC contract. This is our solid waste implementation plan is a 5-year plan. And it will expire in a year and a half. So next year when we have this BCRC plan, it will probably be for one contract that's 6 months, and then after we pass the solid waste implementation plan, there'll probably be a second contract for the additional 6 months, so potentially whatever. So it may be structured a little bit differently next year, but this is the same contract as, again, that we've been using for the last 5 cycles, budget cycles. So and if anything changes as we go through the process of updating our solid waste implementation plan, that will all be reflected within the BCRC contract.
All right. Are there any other items that need to be voted on so Stu can get to his other meeting?
No other items that need to be voted on. Everything else is largely informational. So if Gordon and Stu need to make other appointments, they can feel free to exit as necessary.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
See ya.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stu.
I'll hang in for a couple of more minutes. I've got some time, so let's,
Okay.
I'd like to hear about the household hazardous waste facility.
Sure, absolutely. So we have now been operating for 3 weeks. It's amazing how much stuff we can pull in the first 3 weeks. We actually have a pickup coming on June 10th, which is Monday of next week. We've got a few VSQGs, which is basically just the state's way of saying small businesses that are able to use the facility because they don't generate enough waste to require their own permitting. So we've got Arcane Miles, we've got a chimney sweep coming in from Black Magic Chimney Sweeps from Bennington, and we've got from up in Rupert, a lighting manufacturer. All three of them are going to come in and bring large quantities of waste for us to dispose of on Monday. So we're doing substantially more work with the small business community than we have in the past 2 years due to the capacity for us to have this facility open. Yeah, so far we've had 3 weeks, like I said, 19 appointments at each of the 19 residential appointments each time for the last 3 weeks. And I think there's only been 1 or 2 people who've missed their appointment in that whole stretch. So we're doing well. The folks from Heritage are coming in. They've it's a couple of new staff members, but we've they a different crew from last year, so we had to do a little bit of an onboarding during the first week. And I've actually streamlined a lot of the things, and we started to have flyers and things to hand out to folks when they come in that have waste that we don't accept. And that's been pretty helpful. We've already filled up like 4 waste paint pallets, Gaylord boxes of waste paint pallets. We've got 2 55-gallon drums of just spray can aerosols. We've got a few 55-gallon drums of pesticides already collected. And they've bulked all the gasoline and everything too. So I'm trying to stay on top of them this year to make sure that they are bulking the waste a lot more than they were last season in order to help save us cost. So that is I'm just trying to keep on top of that. Otherwise, yeah, everything seems to be working. I've got a few, set up the signs, set up the facility pretty well, I think. So hopefully it will just be on my end, it's just a couple of hours in the morning when I'm there, and then I leave them alone for the middle of the day, and then I come back at the end of the day and we sort of wrap up and I help them close up the facility.
Quick question, just on the businesses that are using this facility. How do we charge them? Is it by, are they charged the same as the household, or are they?
No, so a household, we charge a $5 fee for use of the facility. With the VSQGs, we bring, I make an assessment as to whether the waste that they're bringing is relevant to their business or not. If it's relevant to the actions of their business, then I charge them the same amount that we get charged for disposal. So last fall, we had the town of Arlington Fire Department come in. They had a large quantity of extinguisher foam that was unfortunately PFAS and was very expensive to dispose of. But what we did is we charged them the exact same rate that we got billed for by the company. So in the case of Arcane Miles, they're bringing a lot of roofing tar, and they're bringing some paint that doesn't qualify for the paint care program because it's all tints. So that's going to be a special disposal rate. and things like that. So we just wait for our invoice to come in. What I do is I speak to Heritage and I get an estimate, and then I get back to the business and I say, it's gonna be within this range. So that way there's not a lot of surprises. And then they're there. Now, when it comes to a business that is dropping something off that isn't relevant to their business, then I've been treating them more like a household. So we had, for example, there's that water filter business just over by Mount Equinox Drive over here. I can't remember the name, but they came in last year with a bunch of paint because it was just in their garage. You know, what they said it was there when they moved to the building and they hadn't gotten rid of it. They just wanted to get rid of it. So in a way that was very similar to a household. And because it wasn't going to be more than 15 gallons, I just treated them effectively like a household and charged them a $5 fee. You know, so that's where that's how we're approaching the small businesses.
Thank you. Sounds great.
All right, hey, thank you for that. So we're actually, are we seeing the numbers increase, Scott? A little bit this year?
So we're seeing the rate of, I mean, the numbers aren't increasing as far as the number of households going in, because we actually don't have as many appointments available, throughout the course of the entire season as the number of cars that showed up to our one-day events.
Right.
But what we are seeing, based on the data, is people that are coming are bringing 40% more waste than they brought to the events. So
Great.
we're kind of seeing about the same rate for disposal, even though we have a slightly lower household participation rate.
That sounds great. That sounds great. All right, folks, thank you for being patient with me. I've got to drop off now and get to my next meeting. So have a wonderful day. Good to see you all.
Thank you.
Have fun, Stu.
Thank you.
Well, I think part of that is, people are taking other people's stuff too.
Right. Right. Actually, you mentioned that in the last meeting, that we should probably try to find a way
Instead of
to.
having, people not getting appointments and stuff, they're going to their neighbors or friends or something. You have anything? So them to take it back. And I really sincerely think that's happening.
So do you ask if they represent more than one household when they come? or not?
I don't. It is something I could probably add to the online registration form. Yeah, just how are you?
I think it's very helpful for from an informational perspective. What I don't want this to be is starting to get into an area where we eventually try to charge higher, like double fees or something like that. for that.
Yeah.
Because ultimately we're constrained by the number of appointment slots more than anything
That's
else.
exactly it.
So it's like, yeah, without causing our labor costs to spiral, it's probably, this is a good thing.
And through my outreach, I've been encouraging people to combine households
Yeah.
because we don't have the sheer number of,
I have also.
yeah.
And
That's good.
and people appreciate that because then they're saying, oh, okay, so it's worth my while if I have to drive down to Bennington, I'm up in Dorset and I've got my neighbors and my stuff and
Nice.
it's 8 gallons of paint, or stuff that's not,
Well,
a trailer
I
full.
was rooting around yesterday up there at the transfer station and said, what's in that bag? I didn't know we had it, but stuff that somebody had dropped off down there, then I had taken and put it up in the oil shed and forgotten about it, so. It has to go, and it has, I always get that stuff, people just happen to leave it down there, They just leave it there where you can't see what they're putting, but by the redeemable box for the 4-H, we have a redeemable box for all the cans and bottles and stuff that they take down there, and then that's a big fundraiser, so. Yeah, there's a lot of people who do that.
So what I'll do is I'll try to add to the online appointment form, just one additional question, and I'll also try to make it clear that there will be no fee change if they answer yes to that question. That
Would encourage people to do it more, so it's good.
Well, yeah, and if they're gonna do multiple, just say, yeah, because somebody just has one bucket of paint, they're not gonna, they don't want to go up there and so forth. Yeah, it's not really, because what I'm saying is a lot of these elderly folks that we have, they just have a little bit here, a little bit there, and so forth. And they discuss it with me all the time, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of. I don't know how many pound people come up there yet, but I just told them that's that's maybe what they should do,
Mhm.
you know, because we're not gonna extend that to line as we were like, you had with the days, you know, people say it. We all know how long those days were. It was a lot better. A lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, people have expressed that too, that they like having an appointment time and not having to wait in line. Like they did at previous times.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Excellent. So that's the household hazardous waste facility. Agenda item 6, waste hauler compliance. So just last night, 2 buildings to the north of here, we met with members of the State Department of Natural Resources, the Agency of Natural Resources, and we held a massive call to all of the folks who do curbside pickup and also who do junk hauling and other types of waste hauling, manage other kinds of roll-offs and stuff within the region. Unfortunately, we only had one hauler come in. How large was the list we did outreach to?
Well, initially it was 26,
Okay.
and then I whittled it down to about 21, because I took off the liquid septic tank companies, the biosolids, because they were focusing their presentation on solid
Solid
waste.
waste.
So we made calls, both myself and the folks up at the DEC made personal calls to the remaining 21 parties to invite them, in addition to 2 postcards that we sent out.
Yeah, so we sent out 2 mail notifications, and then we also did phone banking to try to reach people. But unfortunately, we didn't have a very high attendance yesterday. But you know, we did discuss with the hauler that was there, state regulations as far as registering, you know, effectively if you are moving waste that is headed to a transfer station on any kind of state road, you need to have a state hauler's permit. And unfortunately, for the sake of the cleanout folks and stuff like that, they also included those folks who do sort of basement cleanouts and things like that in that, which they were largely unaware of. And yeah, and just to remind everyone also here, we do have our own local version of a waste hauler registration. If you go to page 24 and 25, it's just a copy of what our local Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance. This is a single form that combines, you know, that people can effectively fill out on our website, you know, and then print out multiple copies of, and then send along with a check to each of the towns that they operate hauling operations in. The checks all go to the individual towns. I know that this is not also similar to, you know, this is also not something that a lot of those waste haulers on that list do comply with. We gathered our list both from people who were registered as well as just people who we see advertise these services on Facebook and things like that as well. A lot of them are very small operations, 1 person with 1 truck. You know, all of the larger operations do appear to be compliant and registered. Yeah.
Great.
It may be something in the future we want to look at again. You know, if we want to create, you know, rules or think about whether or not it should be necessary for operations of a small size to register or not. But that's something we can look at and consider as we redo the solid waste implementation plan over the next year and a half.
I would certainly encourage that, supposing you do the research and make sure that we actually do have that authority to waive those kind of rules at the local level. But
Well, you
wouldn't be able to waive the state registration, but we could get rid of the,
but whether we could waive the local
yeah.
component.
Yeah, we have an ordinance when we first did this, you know, you had to pass an ordinance and stuff for the town and everything, and get that through. And it should be on file. It had to go in.
Yeah, it was part of the pay as you throw law, I think it was at that time.
Yeah, many of the towns certainly
Yeah,
have
we
them.
had to do all that, so. I will send you that and see what I can get. We have one there's operated panel, I've sent him year in, year out, year in, year out. I never sent anything, so they always sent through.
Right.
So that's not a problem. This one guy, he's got like 5 or 6 trucks. Yeah,
Do you know if he's licensed with the state, permitted with the state?
I can't get anything from Mike.
Well, I mean, we can check online, if you give us the name, we can check it, and then you know, because it's something.
He changed his name so many times.
Every week.
I'm telling you right now, I think he's on his 3rd name in about 4 years. So.
So,
Is the shyster coming on?
so the state does have a way for, you know, for towns or for other operators to report violations of people they, you know, see that are not following follow registration rules and also other things that, like, you know, when they register to be hauler, they also agree not to store, you know, not to store anything that's going to be landfill bound. They're not allowed to store it on the ground. There are a series of requirements that the state can issue citations for. And if that's something that we, you know, see and would like to pursue enforcement for, we can report to the state.
And any individual can make a report. It doesn't have to be like an entity like us as an organization or a town. It can be just a single person.
Great. Legislative update. So just that's page 26. Just so on in this year's legislative session, the state passed an expansion of the extended producer responsibility bill related to rechargeable batteries to cover a series of batteries that were not in regular circulation or regular use at the time that the bill was originally passed. This was recently just signed by the governor a couple days ago. So what's put together in this packet says that it has only passed the House and Senate, but I know that a few days ago it did get signed by the governor's office. So it is happening, and we will then hopefully start to get reimbursed for some additional types of rechargeable batteries that we can collect, or really whatever we can send them now instead of disposing of them at the household as a waste facility for full price. These additional batteries will then be able to be sent to Call to Recycle, which is the current group that is managing the EPR program for the state.
Yeah, they're pretty good. You call them and stuff, they get right back to you if you're not there. They do. They're really good. And if you order your boxes and stuff, boom, they're shipped out the next day.
Nice.
You get them. So they're really good.
I don't know the exact date that it's going to start. This isn't in the bill summary that I have here, but when that happens, I'll be sure to reach out to the folks at the transfer stations, and we can do outreach as well to the individuals who run the battery collection boxes at a number of our businesses, just to let them know that they have additional batteries that they're allowed to.
Yeah, Call to Recycle may send out more outreach materials that we can use. It'll show the revision.
They send out the newsletters and stuff all the time. Every month we get one. So
Good.
they keep things up to date. So it's pretty impressed with it, really.
Great. So next item then is the book collections. So just an update on this. Especially for those who weren't here last month at the last board meeting, but the Discover Books, who we brought into our transfer stations only in December and January, getting their boxes dropped off. They shut down almost immediately, and their operations were taken over by an organization called Bay State Books. At the time of our last board of directors meeting, Bay State Books had not picked up any of the bins that were full that Discovery had been there, but it is now my understanding that they're operating and everything is.
They maintain the same drivers and so forth, and some of the other employees, I'm sure. I was talking to the driver the other day, we just did last week.
Good. Yeah, all 4 bins have been serviced now.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for agreements to be sent
Yeah.
out.
Okay, so we are.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
So
They got to come in there and boom, he had stuff out there in a big time. And then he saw him talking with us, so, but yeah, I was, well, where's Cesar? No, he's not coming in here, but he's still working here. So I said, okay. Yeah. They're pretty good. I think they're gonna be fine, Kelly, as long as they don't hold. But the personnel seem nice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll do that.
And what do they do with the books? So they,
They run the
Reuse?
similar business model that Discover Books did, in which they sell the books, they donate the books, or they recycle the books. They pledge not to put anything in the landfill.
So,
And they're based out of Massachusetts, so they're a little closer.
it's the Bay State.
So now, for agenda item 9, we can turn it over to Paula, who's to give an outreach and events update. And there will be one item which we're talking about, on page 27, just related to, events and how we, have some sample language that we would like to encourage the towns to include, when they issue an event permit, to explain how the solid waste management laws work related to events in the state of Vermont, because there are often people who have out of state, people who are out of state who are hosting events here locally.
Yeah, and then we're running into this when we see permits issued, but no mention of how trash is to be managed, other than it's supposed to be collected. So folks will come in from out of state and not realize there's 3 streams of waste collection that has to be done and separated. So when I talk to them, they look at me like I got, 5 heads, and they don't understand because if they're not familiar with it. Or it's just like, I'm not even gonna think about it because it's too close to the event and I've got other things to worry about. So where I'm trying to time it right, but also get enough notice. So backing it up with in advance when they're actually applying for the permit, they have advanced notice. So I don't have much to say. Maybe you can comment on the Bennington Town wide tag sale, because I wasn't involved in that.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's just a quick, we're co-sponsoring the Bennington Town Tag Sale this year. They just asked for, $200 to help them with advertising. So I didn't think that was gonna stretch our budget particularly far. But as something that is, encouraging reuse of items and throwing them out to the, not putting them in the trash. Figured it would be reasonable for us to do so.
You know the date of that?
That will be July 27th.
Thank you.
So, outreach, we've been working really hard to get everyone to know that the hazardous waste facility is open for the season. So I did a lot of delivery of flyers to all the transfer stations and the town halls and the libraries and post offices and retail locations. And we made a PSA updated and sent out to GNet, Cat TV, as well as I filmed a segment recently that I posted last week for trash talk that we do with Cat TV to go about, to talk about HHW facility and also the other special recycling programs that are available. And also, Scott is going to do one with GNet TV on the 17th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 17th. So Andrew's going to come down and do a segment for them as well. We also purchased ads to put on Facebook and other locations, and we will do another drop of flyers to the transfer stations in July to fortify the stacks of outreach. So there's enough flyers to get through, but I'll send out a PDF to all the towns so they have it as well, as their stacks deplete. Provided outreach to 2 schools, 4 event organizers and 1 business since my last report. We firmed up and have started the farmers market season. So I'll be appearing at the Dorset, hopefully, because I'm a backup vendor. And then Arlington and Manchester markets once a month. Scott and I attended the VORS conference in April, which is about organics, sustainability, and composting. It was held up in Waterbury, and great presenters and good discussions. Made the transition, of course, from Discover Books to Bay State Books. This past Saturday, I made a Recycling 101 presentation at Arlington Common as part of the Good News Energy and Reliance Fair that happened and hosted a booth. I'll do another booth hosting on June 15th for the Manchester Energy Fair. Also did all the promotions, and we put together a tail end of a slideshow presentation for the DEC to help the haulers that did arrive at our hauler meeting, to help them understand what the local Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance is. Help them understand that we can work collaboratively to try to reduce the amount of contamination in loads, get better understanding of what's recyclable to their residents. So that's pretty much it.
Also on the 15th,
Yes, composting.
there's a composting fair happening in Bennington at their community garden site. Yeah, she will be going to the energy fair in Manchester, and I will be covering the composting fair in Bennington.
Yeah.
And we've agreed to raffle off one of our excess stock of not raffle, but to door prize, to give away as a door prize for one of the attendees for the composting fair, one of our green cones that we have in stock.
Any questions about what's
Sounds
going on?
good.
Yeah, we're getting busy. We're also planning another Fix It Fair in November with the Bennington Free Library. That is with the funds they have remaining that they need to use up before the end of their grant year, that they received a grant to help host. So we're hoping to get more fixers and more folks that want things fixed.
Yeah, and that should be in the works in November.
Yeah, November 9th, I think is the date on that. And I'm also tentatively planning an outreach presentation at the North Bennington Free Library in August. So we're gonna get something, date not set yet, but we're in talks. So, and North Bennington Free Library did manage to do a really great job doing solar glasses collection that we helped them spread the word out. What's the name of that organization? Astronomers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot.
I know, the Central Vermont Solid Waste District was able to recapture 115,000 solar eclipse glasses after the event on April 8th. They had
Volunteers peeling them
Yeah,
apart so they can separate the glasses parts from the paper,
Yeah,
recycle everything.
but they have sets now that they're gonna go to these astronomers group that is gonna ship them out to other eclipse sites
sure.
in the future. So they could be holding them up to 5 years, but it's interesting to see how
The
they.
shoes do all, you know. My wife, you couldn't believe it. She tried to go, I can't see it. I said, Carol, take a flip up, look up and flip it down real fast. Oh, there it is. How do you think a welder does?
Yeah, so,
You put me on that list for fixers.
yes, I did let them know. So we will be reaching out to you as we get closer to the planning phase of it, definitely. So anyone that you know of that is interested in assisting with their talents and time, volunteering at this Fix It Fair, it's usually 4 or 5 hours, and it's a great way to give
And
back.
that was
to the
November
community.
what?
November 9th, I'll double check that so I don't steer you astray here. Yes, November 9th, Fix It Fair starting from 11 to 4. Yes, so that'll be good. And our first farmers market is tomorrow in Manchester and in Arlington on Friday. And I'm collecting batteries at every farmer's market. I'm getting people coming by with their bags of batteries.
really?
That's great, yeah.
2 weeks ago, I shipped 6 boxes.
Did you really?
That's great.
And it's just amazing. I shipped 6 boxes and I have 3/4 of a box full already
Great.
in 3 days. So,
How much
Yeah.
lithium?
oh, I
Rechargeable slot of those?
get a few, and then you have to look for the little ones too,
Mhm.
but, I forget. Last year, they did send me the thing, like 180 some pounds or something like that.
Wow.
1,000 pounds of batteries that we did. It was, 18%, 18, 20%.
Nice.
That's a good deal. You get them.
The other thing I just wanted to mention, separate of my activity, is just, I did a quick perusal driving around different parks, because one of the things that we're required as municipalities is to provide parallel collection of materials, waste. When we put out a waste can, you're supposed to put out a recycling bin, and that's kind of hit or miss in a lot of the towns. We have barrels, some are painted blue, some are black, some are just kind of scattered around. So I'm just trying to remind towns that we have to, when you have a park setting or any public space, if we have waste, we gotta have recycling. And then obviously food scraps are been a big event. You don't have to have food scraps.
Something to consider in the design process as you, in Shaftesbury, build out the park that's adjacent to your town hall there.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm happy to, give you sources of, even waste bin manufacturers that do that specifically for public spaces.
They're starting to use the park behind the new town hall.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I had, this back in 18, when they were starting it, I had given them all this information to order, some barrels and stuff that wouldn't blow away and so forth. But I guess I better talk to the Park and Rec Committee about that. And see what they can do, just especially for that part.
Yeah.
They go down next to the river, they just throw it down there. So they were hiking along there, they got beautiful trails and they're all hogged up. That's all.
Great, thank you. Paul, is there any public comment? Okay,
Who's Jeff Anderson?
Yes, hi. Sorry, I joined late.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Good. I guess I had a question or a comment. I work for a small business and we create what's going into a landfill right now. We do a lot of fabric and cloth tapestry work. And we've come to you before with questions about how we can better handle that. Right now it goes to the landfill and it's a lot of material. There are ways to recycle it. And in the past, we've received some advice from this group or others. Maybe it was a couple of years ago. And we've exhausted those. We've actually tried all of them to almost no effect or at cost. So I'm wondering if there are other options that we could entertain as an area to handle large amounts of fabric and textile waste that is really could be recycled, but right now we can't do it without taking it hundreds of miles and at fairly significant expense. Maybe there's something in place and we're just we haven't connected recently enough. But if you have any thoughts for what you could do for a organization that's in the area, trying to take this and keep it out of the landfill, things that really don't compost well at all, or disintegrate, if there's some suggestions we could get, or maybe some interest in exploring options to do it locally, to shred this and turn it into something usable that's local, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Have you contacted Goodwill?
Yes, we did. They didn't call us back, and they don't take the kind of fabric that we have that's kind of waste from production.
Yeah,
If it were clothing, they would take it, happy to, or scraps that could be used to make things. But these are, a large amount, like hundreds of pounds of bits and pieces.
okay. Have you tried Apparel Impact?
Yes, tried that too.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Jeff,
We
why don't
really
you,
we got a fairly big list from you before, and we've really looked at all the things we could do. And I'm fairly confident we're not the only textile manufacturer in the area. So
yeah.
maybe there's a group that could get together to somehow address this with you.
Jeff, I think
Had this conversation today.
yeah.
Yeah, I apologize.
I'm happy
can do this later.
I'm happy to talk with you, and actually think it might be something worthwhile if we
Great.
wanted to potentially talk with you, and if there's like you said, if there's other companies you might know of that are involved in the manufacturing process that also have waste textiles in the area, it might be worth talking to the SEDS, which is like the Economic Development District for the southern region of Vermont here, and maybe
Yes.
we can work with them somehow to identify some way for businesses that operate at sort of the scale that you guys are operating at then to be there. So if you want to reach back out to me, my email is sgrimlyon, GRIMMLYON at bcrcvt.org, or if you go to our website, you can access it easily just by typing in benningtoncountywaste.org. My email's on there too, and my phone number is there as well. And I'll be happy to set up a meeting with you and see if we can set you up with some other members in the economic development community, and that might be a better tack at this, since it appears, based on your previous efforts, that there aren't already private companies that are coming in and able to service you in this way.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
All right, any other public comment? All right, next meeting. We have a,
Next meeting date. So, yeah, I guess, September is, when we would have our next quarterly meeting typically.
4th or 11th?
We're usually on the first Wednesdays, maybe
Okay.
technically the fourth.
The 4th is just 2 days after Labor Day, but that shouldn't be an issue, right? Okay,
September 4th,
great.
4 PM here. Thanks to Nick. Any other business? We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.